how do those cases get, who goes to the Supreme Court?
Yeah, the who goes to the Supreme Court? The attorney for the plaintiff, the attorney for the defendant. Sometimes the plaintiff and the defendant do go to the Supreme Court.
That must be nerve-wracking, huh?
I couldn't imagine.
Up to the Supreme Court?
Yeah. No. Kate's?
I have two questions.
Sure.
So first, does a case have to be presented to the court, or if they notice something happened and for some reason the state doesn't want it to be brought up to the Supreme Court, how would that work?
Well, the state doesn't have a say in it.
Okay.
If there is a natural progression through the state courts, maybe somebody's appealing the decision of the Virginia State Supreme Court. They're next.
Okay. And then,
So the state of Virginia, say, in the Levin case, didn't have a say in it. It was their right as citizens of the United States to go there.
and you say that the Supreme Court chooses which case they want to
That's right.
look at.
That's right, they choose, yeah.
So if you there's a they can just say no, and what happens then if they just say no?
That's it, the case is dead.
Okay. So if it's the right of the people to bring their case to the Supreme Court, they can just say no.
Yep.
Okay.
And then I'll just fall back on whatever last decision I had received.
The federal appellate court or the state Supreme Court or whatever the last court they were in that heard that case, yeah, that decision would stand.
So can't their choice to not choose certain cases dictate kind of what they want to happen with the country and what they want to be decided on?
Absolutely. There's a lot in not deciding to take a case too, yeah.
Is
Yeah.
there any way they have to take a case?
No,
Okay.
they're not, and the Constitution doesn't demand that they, well, I mean, they do have original jurisdiction in some cases. Say something happens with an ambassador, yeah, that would go straight to them. But no, they don't have to hear anything they don't want to.
Okay.
Yes.
If two or three of them are out sick, does everything just stop until everybody's there? Or I guess in order to hear a case, does everybody have to be present, all of the?
No. A lot of them, well, not a lot of them, all of them have assigned circuits. So they work the lower courts when the Supreme Court is out for recess. So say the Chief Justice hears a case when he's working on the appellate courts, and it gets brought up to the Supreme Court for a hearing. John Roberts would excuse himself, it's called a recusal, so he wouldn't hear the case. Say he was the one who decided the case on the appellate court. He said this person is guilty. He wouldn't sit on the Supreme Court for that particular case. Now that's a matter of honor. That isn't something he's, or any of them are bound by law to do. They don't have to recuse if they don't want to, but that's just the typical way of how it goes. This is good. Any other questions? I did this professional development seminar last night where they were talking about ways to assess student learning, and me literally sitting there and saying, ask me questions about the Supreme Court was one of them. So this is an alternative assessment method. And I'm liking it so far. These are all good questions on point. So yeah.
I mean, what do you think about them having that ultimate power to just say no to any case they don't want to hear, and the power that gives them to kind of control how America is shaped?
They couldn't say yes to everything, even if they wanted to.
Yeah.
There are tens of thousands of cases they get over the course of a term.
But if it's a super important one and there's like obvious uproar about it, like let's say in the case of Roe v. Wade, what if they just looked at that and said no? You know, like
They could.
that gives them tons of power that even if they're supposed to be unbiased, they still have their own personal values.
This is true. Yeah.
So I'm just kind of wondering your opinions on it.
I didn't really hear a question in there, Cadence. I'm sorry.
What do you think about the ultimate power that they have to just,
Say yes or no.
yeah,
Oh. I'm in favor of it. I mean, I wouldn't want the president deciding that, because then the values would shift every 4 or 8 years
yeah,
in what was being heard in the Supreme Court. I certainly wouldn't want Congress to decide. One of my students referred to the Supreme Court as the Boomer Council a while ago, and honestly, I'd rather have the Boomer Council looking at cases and trying to decide which one. If you just put 9 people in a room and say, here you go, I mean, I think that's probably the most effective way to do that and have cases decided on what they're going to hear and not.
how is that decided? Like, do they just sit down and talk about it? Like, what's the formal way that that's decided, which cases they take?
That happens behind closed doors.
Okay.
So I've never been behind closed doors at the Supreme Court, so I couldn't tell you. Couldn't possibly tell you. Yes.
Can like a more modern Supreme Court, like can they overturn a decision previously made by like years ago? Some Supreme Court case decided something and then like 10 years later they decide to change their mind or something.
That
Whereas like what if they get the wrong answer? Can somebody come back and be like, wait, that wasn't right? I feel like I read something about like the Dred Scott stuff.
Yes.
I was just doing my
yeah.
research.
The question, if you didn't hear summer classes, was about can a future Supreme Court overturn a decision a past Supreme Court has made? And the answer is that very rarely happens. It does happen, but very rarely. Yeah. Would that happen? Yeah. So how did we reach this point with the Supreme Court Boomer Council? The judicial branch should act and be a watchdog that rules on cases that come before it to protect our natural rights and to preserve the division of power established in the Constitution. And thank goodness they do. For the most part, anyway. Daniela.
What's the process now that we have our new Supreme Court justice, Katanji? So what is her, like, once we pick a new one, so she's in there, she's officially there, what is the process that she would go through now as a member of the Supreme Court? Is there anything that, like, you know, anything else besides, okay, great, you made it, here you go, take your first case, like, what?
Well, first off, the future Justice Jackson, who will be Justice Jackson in June, will decide cases with the whole Supreme Court. I know there's a sign-off. I believe a majority have to agree to hear a case before a case is heard, so it's just 5 that can't hear.